You're listening to Short Inspirations from Ralph. Does God really exist? Part 5. Many men and women of all walks of life throughout history and into our current day have expressed their wonder at the splendor and magnificence of the creation of the universe. It's almost as if they've looked up to the stars at some stage in their life and proclaimed His greatness. People like Napoleon Bonaparte, he said this: all things proclaim the existence of God. And then we have agnostic Alan Sandage. He says this: I find it quite improbable that such order came out of chaos. There has to be some organizing principle. God, to me, he said, is a mystery, but is the explanation for the miracle of existence. Why there is something instead of nothing. And even Charles Darwin said something like this: the impossibility of conceiving that this grand and wondrous universe, with our conscious selves, arose through chance seems to me the chief argument for the existence of God. And he proclaimed himself a theist. You see, a God who created everything is a God who can do miracles. And a miracle can be defined as an extraordinary and welcome event that is not explained by natural or scientific laws and is therefore attributed to a divine agency. But there are still many, unbelievably to me, who would deny the existence of God, because to deny God is to deny that miracles exist. Author R.C. Sproul said this: the main problem with those who deny the existence of God is not intellectual. It is not because of insufficient information, or that God's manifestation of himself in nature has been obscured. The atheist's problem is not that they cannot know God, rather it is that they do not want to know him. Man's problem with the existence of God is not an intellectual problem, it is a moral problem. And even St. Augustine said this: he who denies the existence of God has some reason for wishing that God did not exist. Adolf Hitler and the Nazi regime, godless, powerful leaders who were responsible for 18 million deaths. Karl Marx said, since only what is material is perceptible, knowable, nothing is known of the existence of God. He wrote the Communist Manifesto, which went on to be an ideology that resulted in up to 140 million deaths. These were godless people who lived with the great convenience of not believing in God, because if they had, it would have changed the course of history. But we all live with miracles all around us. Even a newborn baby is called a miracle. And so sadly, people will deny God, put their head in the sand, push God away. It seems to be natural to mankind. This tendency to hide away from God started in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve after they had sinned. It's the very same spirit that the Pharisees and the rulers of the law and the scribes operated within in Jesus' day. They didn't want a bar of Jesus, despite him fulfilling all the prophecies about him, and despite all these miracles that were happening right in front of their noses. Thousands fed from a kid's lunch, paralyzed people walking again, the blind can see, the deaf can hear. And get this, one of the people that he raised from the dead, a man called Lazarus, who had been decomposing for 4 days, ended up with a target on his back. Yes, they wanted to kill him too. They had a form of godliness but denied the power of God. They had their own reasons for wishing that Jesus didn't exist. And of course they killed him. But then another incredible miracle, the resurrection of Jesus Christ, occurred. And this is why Paul was at pains to point out the proof relating to the resurrection of Jesus, because people would just not believe, even with evidence in front of them. Those who would explain the resurrection as a hallucination must explain how 500 people could have had the same hallucination simultaneously. The God of miracles does indeed exist. Timothy Keller said this: "In the Christian view, the ultimate evidence for the existence of God is Jesus Christ. If there is a God, we characters in his play have to hope that he put some information about himself in the play. But Christians believe he did more than give us information. He wrote himself into the play as the main character in history, when Jesus was born in a manger and rose from the dead." God bless you today.